One of the best gifts that we can give and receive is forgiveness. What does this have to do with parenting? Well, the gift of continual forgiveness can shape our hearts and the hearts of our children and our teenagers. And at Christmas, we celebrate the love and the forgiveness plan that was set into action as Jesus was born to give grace. The birth of Jesus brings with it his continual forgiveness, new life, transformation, and grace living with love and joy and peace. In family relationships, forgiving and asking forgiveness is not always easy. Continual forgiveness can be such a challenge. Yet Jesus lived forgiveness, grace, and truth, and tenderness, and power, which led to this amazing life change for so many that walked beside him, and transformation. With his help, we can follow him to live a mindset of a continual forgiver. Well, why is this so hard to do? Because we as parents, we want so badly to get it right. So it's hard to admit when we don't. And our kids, they just don't come with blueprints. Maybe you're like me and you have multiple children. And just about the time you think, okay, I've got this figured out, then the next child comes along and they're so very different. And it's like starting all over again and learning how to parent this child and this teen the way that they need to be parented. Something inside of us wants to do all the things right to raise kids that thrive. So admitting that we mess up or that we get it wrong is just so difficult. However, unforgiveness just swirls and it taints our relationships. Unforgiveness is like this nagging noise that interrupts our thoughts or blurs our eyesight, thus keeping us from enjoying this beautiful scene right in front of us. Unforgiveness cloudies our vision, and it makes us see life and others through the eyes of bitterness and resentment. With stealth, unforgiveness can steal the love, the joy, the peace that we are capable of giving and receiving, and giving to those that we live life with. This can happen to us as parents, or it can happen to our children, to our teenagers. And I'll be honest with you, I really didn't want to share this part of my own story, but real is the only way I know. So here it goes. Our fourth child, John Ethan, when he was an infant, he's 14 now, I wore him everywhere because I was kind of out of hands with 4 kids. And I remember sitting in the front row of church, just worshiping, holding my baby. And God showed me a picture of my heart. And I just wasn't ready for what I would see. As I closed my eyes and worship, the picture that I was given startled me. My heart was surrounded by these thorns, and the thorns were sticking out, and the thorns were also piercing my own heart. And the thorns of bitterness, that was the truth. The truth hit me just like the slap in the face. God was letting me know that I was full of unforgiveness, even bitterness. And I vividly remember arguing in my mind with God, telling God, that's not my heart. I'm a happy person. I'm joyful. I love Jesus and I'm in ministry. However, his truth was so real, so big, and I knew that I replayed these conversations that hurt me. I knew I held on to words that were spoken in anger and rejection. I thought about how I had been wronged or how someone had said something that just hurt me so deeply, and I knew that he was showing me the condition of my heart. So in this conversation with God, I asked him, and I don't know that I was all that nice about it, well, what am I supposed to do with this mess? And he tenderly spoke to me and said, give me your heart. And for a moment, I thought about how vulnerable this felt. Yet I knew those thorns of bitterness, they were affecting me in ways that I really didn't like. They were stealing the best version of me that I so desperately wanted to live for him and for those around me. So I reluctantly placed my heart in his hands during this worship song. And taking my heart, he covered it gently and powerfully with his big hands, and I held my breath as he opened his hands. And amazingly, immediately, my heart was healed. The bitterness was gone. Those thorns were just gone, and the trace of their existence was not visible. Speaking to my spirit, he revealed, daily, to stay healthy, you must give me your heart. You must forgive every single thing, every person, every word that hurts your heart so you can live free of bitterness. For I had this tendency of replaying those hurtful conversations. You know what I mean? People that had rejected me or mistreated me or just said rude things. Well, these led to this full-grown thorn bush. And if you knew me, you would never have known this. Yet God has a way of knowing us fully and loving us fully. It is impossible to live in bitterness and not to give bitterness. And I knew that. I did not want to give this bitter version of myself to my children or to my husband or to those I did life with. So that day, 14 years ago, I started learning the power of continual forgiveness and how it leads to restoration and peace and inner joy and love and this special grace that we have for ourselves and for others. So for Christmas, one of the best gifts that we can give our kids is the gift of restoration. Restoration requires facing the real and choosing to forgive, which can be really difficult. Forgiveness does not condone a wrong, for Jesus definitely spoke truth. Forgiveness faces that truth and gives grace and moves towards transformation and healing, forgiveness and restoration, continual forgiveness. So we can ask our kids, we can ask those that we do life with, lately, have I said anything that bothered you? Do you feel supported and encouraged by me? Has anything that I have done hurt your heart, hurt your feelings? Do you replay something that I said in your mind? And you can even ask this of teenage boys. What does it feel like to be in relationship with me? Is there anything that we need to mend in our relationship? We could possibly get some answers that we really don't like. Most of us have this initial reaction to get upset or defensive or justify or just explain or make an excuse. However, what if we just chose to say, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you, and I can see how my words, my action, my tone was hurtful. Will you please forgive me? What do I need to do to make resolution, to restore our relationship? Do you want more time with me? Can I encourage you more? What am I missing in our relationship? I just love who you are, and I'm so proud of who you are. And my hope is that we are always growing in relationship. If a son hears this from his dad, he might act like he doesn't care, but believe me, this is what he is hoping for. Countless teens have told me this in the counseling setting. They want to know they're loved, they're forgiven, their parents are proud of them. What happens when we seek forgiveness and restoration by modeling forgiveness? Well, our kids and our teens almost always follow our lead, and they begin asking forgiveness also. And if not the first time, at some points, our kids will follow our humility and seek restoration with us. Our humility can even lead to ask them and for them to ask God about how he can forgive them. In the counseling setting, the gift of restoration happens when teens and parents forgive one another for miscommunicating or an action or a word that was spoken in an argument or something that was done that was hurtful. This creates amazing healing, a fresh start leading to restoration.